All right, I am going to get started because I think we've kind of slowed down the slew of people who are coming and calling in. And we're going to start with a kind of a quick program overview, and then I will pass it over to some colleagues to give you some more introductions. So just to start off, thank you so much to everyone for joining today. This is our second community of practice for the Farms to Institutions Conference that REAP, FairShare, and Wello are putting on this coming November, and then also next November in Green Bay. This coming conference will be in Madison. A little more on that later. This is a project that is funded by SARE, and we're grateful to have the platform and space to bring folks together and connect today. So quick notes and agenda. This meeting is going to be recorded. The REAP website is kind of in a under construction space at the moment. So once that is up and running, we'll have all of the recorded meetings posted there if folks want to look back on them. But for now, this slideshow will be emailed out to you after the meeting. So you'll be able to get that there. And then a quick overview of the agenda. My colleague Ching Rai is going to run us through some introductions. I'll give you some project updates and a brief overview of the project if you are kind of jumping on this call for the first time. And then we'll have my coworker Allison Pfaff-Harris, who's the Farm to School Director at REAP, give a short kind of state of Farm to School, and then we'll jump into a discussion. So I'm going to hand it over to Ching Rai.
Thank you, Aiden. Hello, everyone. So for those that are new to the space here, this whole project consists of three orgs. And the first one is REAP, and FairShare, and then Wello. So those are the three main orgs that are leading this project. But yeah, welcome everyone here to joining us in our second COP meeting. And then as for we decided to do a little small icebreaker question for all the folks here to just kind of know more about each other, have this space as some sort of networking opportunity as well. But yeah, this doesn't have to be super long at all, since we do have a full agenda going on. But yeah, just a quick brief on name, org/business, and the icebreaker question: what was your favorite lunch when you were in 5th grade? I will start off. Name's Ching Rai Lor, FairShare CSA Coalition. And my favorite lunch, honestly, I keep thinking about this cheesy soup that I loved back in 5th grade. I can't remember what it's called, but it was really cheesy, and I'm definitely a cheese person too. So that's my favorite lunch. So I will pass it on to who do we have here? Let me see. Let's do Andrew Griffin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew Griffin. I work for FoxRep, the Fox Head Regenerative Agriculture Project. We're located in Green Lake. And my favorite lunch was just a good old PB&J.
Awesome. And Andrew, you can just popcorn to whomever, yeah.
Let's go Allison Path.
Hey everyone, I'm Allison Pfaff-Harris. I work with our farm to school programs here at REAP. My first time joining the call, but excited to be popping on. And my favorite lunch when I was in 5th grade, I was actually, 5th grade was the first year that I took hot lunch at school, and it was chicken nuggets was what I was most excited about. I'm looking here at the guest list, and I'm going to popcorn over to Brian Emerson.
Hey everybody, Brian with Rooted, Director of Urban Ag Education on the north side of Madison. Yeah, my favorite meal in 5th grade, was that nice flat pizza with peanut butter pixie bars. That was my favorite. Hey, and I see Jenna LaChance is on the call as well, so I have popcorn over there. I think she's on.
Nice to see you, Brian.
You too.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna. I work at Organic Valley. I'm working with our produce members at Organic Valley. And Brian, I have to say, that's what I was going to say too, is that flat rectangle pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So I will pass it to Bill.
I'm from UW Health Culinary and Clinical Nutrition. And favorite stuff in fifth grade, I'd probably have to agree with the whole pizza thing Saturday to say.
I'm gonna popcorn up to the top of the list that I have alphabetically here. A.B. Vang.
Hello, everyone. My name is A.B. Vang. I am a little startup farm business down in the La Crosse area, Cooley region, outside of West Salem. Well, no, in West Salem. Sorry. We specialize in cut flowers and also second full year of doing produce, and looking forward to meet everybody and learn and also reach out with resources. I will be remaining off camera the whole time due to work, so juggling a little bit too much around here.
Gonna keep going down the list, pop over to Addison.
All right, give me a second here. All right, so having some issues with my camera. I'm gonna be off camera. My name is Addison Vang. I work for UW Extension as a Hmong Community Food System Outreach Specialist. Basically, I support Hmong entrepreneurs, food entrepreneurs, and I guess in fifth grade, I would say like it was pancakes, like school pancakes, like when the lunch, instead of providing like the typical food, they provided breakfast. So that's what I remember. So that's it.
All right, I'll keep going down the list alphabetically here then. Maybe I already heard from Brian. Can we hear from Catherine?
Hey everybody, my name's Catherine Hurley. I am a coworker of Addison's at Extension. My job is the Farm to Institution Specialist, and you all have better memories than me. I do not remember what I was eating in fifth grade, but I do remember I didn't like Salisbury steak as a hot lunch item, so that's all I got. And I'll popcorn to Yuli.
Was that to me, Catherine?
Yeah, that's you.
I wasn't sure. Hi everyone, I'm Yuli. I work for New Hmong. We're located in Appleton, Wisconsin. So I work with a few farmers here, helping them with their farm business and buying produce from them and packaging them up for our food boxes, among other things. But let me answer the question. Probably those like rectangle pizzas, since I didn't get to eat them much at home. Now that I think back to it, it probably was not as good as I thought. I will popcorn to, let me look. Cindy? Vanessa? If you've gone.
Yeah, sure. I'm Cindy Finnesseth. I'm with the University of Kentucky, and I'm lurking to see what we can learn from you guys. And my favorite thing in fifth grade was cornbread. Our lunch ladies made the best cornbread ever.
Awesome. I'm going to popcorn up the alphabet to Central Wisconsin Farmers Market. I think that's Melissa.
Yep. Hi, it's me, Melissa. I work with the Central Wisconsin Farmers Market Collaborative through Wood County Health Department under a Farmers Market Promotion Program grant, and I'm helping out farmers markets all throughout Central Wisconsin. And my favorite lunch in fifth grade was probably the chicken patty with like that slab of American cheese on it, some mayonnaise. So real good stuff.
Gonna pop down to Community Action Coalition.
Cool. Howdy, my name is Andrew Hurst, and I'm helping organize and operate a cold storage facility for fruit and vegetable farmers here in Dane, Jefferson, and Waukesha counties, and get to work with REAP and FairShare on helping organize and support that project. And my favorite school lunch was the classic Midwest chili and cinnamon roll combination that we got. And I will pass this on to John Hendrickson.
John, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Apologies. I'm not familiar with this platform. John Hendrickson, Farm Viability Specialist at the Center for Integrated Agricultural Systems at UW-Madison. I suppose it's not surprising, given our meeting context, that people are adding in that it's the favorite school lunch. The question actually just says favorite lunch. So I'm going to go off the board. I ate a lot of Oscar Mayer bologna sandwiches when I was growing up.
Awesome. I'm gonna popcorn down to Kenna.
Hi, I'm Kenna Canterberg. My husband and I own Vine and Virtue Farm, which is a small produce and poultry farm just outside of Green Bay. And I also really liked chicken nuggets when I was in school.
All right, Lane.
Hi, my name is Lane Cozzolino. I am the Special Projects Director at Wisconsin Farmers Union and the co-founder of Siren Shrub Company, a local food-based beverage company. And my favorite lunch was, I'm still going to go school lunch just because it was Little Smokies. I don't know if anybody knows what those are, but they're like the little sausages. So thanks. And I'll let you, Aiden, take it from there.
All right, I'll keep popcorning down alphabetically then so we don't miss anybody. Maggie.
Hi, I'm Maggie Doherty. I'm with the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Wisconsin Union. I work in the dining support area where we do a lot of the accounts receivables, payables, and work with central purchasing. I would say my favorite school lunch when I was in 5th grade would probably be like a peanut butter banana sandwich. And I will popcorn it to Roman.
Thanks, Maggie. I am Roman Lazowski, Executive Chef at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Wisconsin Unions. Favorite school lunch was sack lunch because this lunch at my school sucked. I'll popcorn it to whoever wants.
I'm going to turn whoever wants it into Mark.
Sounds good. Thanks, Aiden. Thanks, everybody. My name is Mark Lazowski. Nice to see you, Roman Lazowski. It's not very often that I see a very similar last name, but there you go. I work with Hunger Task Force. We're based out of West Milwaukee. We are a food bank and public policy organization focused on hunger relief. And my favorite lunch when I was in 5th grade, it's probably a flip-flop between Lunchables or we would have these like little chicken patty sandwiches that we were served at school. So either of those really floated my boat back in those days.
All right, Nick and Joan Olson.
Just have Nick here. Hi, my name is Nick Olson. I work with Land Stewardship Project. I'm based out of central Minnesota. Also have a small certified organic produce farm here in central Minnesota. My favorite school lunch was the mashed potato, and then it had like a gravy slop that was full of turkey chunks. That was my absolute favorite, and like a bun, I think. So I'll pass it back to you to keep going down the line.
All right, Sam.
Hey, everybody. I'm Sam Oden. I am a organic CSA farmer with my partner, Sarah. Our farm is Village Farmstead. We're in southern county of Milwaukee. south side of Milwaukee County. Wow. And I am also the president of the Milwaukee Food Council and the president of the Milwaukee and Waukesha Farmers Union chapter. And I'm a musician as well. And I had a like weird addiction to zebra cakes back in 5th grade, I think. And Campbell's provided like this soup machine at our school, and that thing was the bee's knees. But yeah, so yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, I'm going to go down to Scott D.
Hey, this is I'm Scott Demuth from Land Stewardship Project as well in Western Minnesota, working on farm to school work out here. Favorite lunch. We had cheesy bread that you dip in marinara sauce. That was just awesome. And then you can also get 4 cookies and a carton of milk for $1. And yeah, every day grabbing one of those and just chowing down on 4 cookies. It was awesome.
And then I go down to Scott Williams. And Scott, I can see that you're unmuted, but we can't hear anything. And I think we still can. If you can pop something in the chat.
Now.
There we go.
About that, should have tested that earlier. Hi, I'm Scott Williams, Garden to Be, kind of near Madison. Aggregator and a distributor for 40 or 50 Wisconsin farms. And I'm with you, John. It was bologna all day, every day for a while there. I don't remember who we've spoken to or not, so I'll let you pass it on.
For sure. I think we're on to Sonia.
Hi, thank you, Aiden. I'm a volunteer in Madison looking for opportunities to volunteer. And my favorite lunch, well, I always coveted the school lunch. My mother never let us eat the school lunch, and I don't think I appreciated how great her lunches were, sandwiches and fruit and everything. So that's my favorite memory. Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to give us maybe 10 seconds to see if Tracy's note taker is a note taker or also Tracy to share with us as well. But maybe just a note taker. I believe that gets me down the list. If someone joined at the beginning, I might not have gotten you. So pop into the chat if I missed you, and I'll circle back. But I'll kind of round out the intros and then circle back to Chiang Rai for our next slide. My name is Aiden. I work at REAP Food Group with our Farm to Business programming. And I think it's fun that everyone did end up circling into school lunch because you could go from anywhere, but I think, school lunch makes up so much of what you eat when you're in grade school. I consistently brought PB&Js to school every year, maybe for like 5 years straight. And I am now sick of them because of it. But that was my favorite lunch for many, many, many years, including 5th grade. And I'm going to circle back to Chiang Rai for the next slide.
Thank you, everyone, for that little quick share out. So yeah, just quick mission and vision about the project. Don't want to take too long here. Our mission on this project is to bring together producers and buyers across the state to build community knowledge and identify gaps for wholesale distribution to regional institutions. Our vision for this project is we envision a statewide farm-to-institution community where growers, aggregators, and buyers can connect and share resources to strengthen the local food economy. With that, I will pass it back to Aiden to talk more about the structure of the project.
Awesome. Thanks, Chiang Rai. So we have, I think, a pretty different group on this call than we had in our first community practice. So I'm going to go through this a little bit slower than I had originally planned. The grant structure that we're working within has kind of three different parts, three different groups coming together to plan this conference. We have a coordinating committee, which Chiang Rai introduced earlier. That's myself and Chiang Rai from REAP and Wello, respectively, my coworker Paulina at REAP, Beth from Ohio, and then Tara and Beth Heller from Wello. So we have a group kind of coming together from three different orgs across the state to work on this. We also have the community practice, which is all of you and everyone who joins in on these quarterly calls. And then our farmer steering committee, Kenna from our farmer steering committee hopped on today. So thanks, Kenna, for joining. And this is a group of farmers that REAP, FairShare, and Wello connected with from across the state. And so they're supporting us in figuring out topics and themes for the conference, as well as speakers, and they're going to help us with our networking. So about the structure, now about the programming, the two kind of main goals of this grant are to create first a statewide farm to institution community practice, which is what you're all on right now. We're going to have virtually quarterly meetings with seasonal agendas. You'll help us with conference input. So things that we hear from this conversation, we'll pull into the conference. If we are hearing from people that they'd love a resource, we'll share it out. And we're kind of building this up. This is our second one. So we're kind of getting into the swing of how this is going to impact the programming. And today's theme specifically in kind of our seasonal agenda is back to school, because although we don't care to admit it, it is kind of around the corner and our next meeting won't be until school is back in session. The second part of that is the conference. So we will have our first conference in November 2025 in Madison, the second one in November 2026 in Green Bay. And that will be a kind of a one-day event with an opening speaker, learning sessions and networking, and then a second day of a local program showcase. And so more to come on this, but we do have some fun conference updates. We'll be at the Madison College Truax campus. I did grow up in Madison and only just learned how to pronounce Truax campus kind of in this planning process. And so we'll be having that on November 10th and 11th. You'll get this in a kind of a greater communication coming shortly. And so our key sessions that we identified with the help of our Farmer Steering Committee and also feedback from our first community of practice is a panel highlighting different relationships in farm to institution sales. So both with and without an aggregator in selling to institutions. A panel discussing a relationship initiation, so how to approach buyers and farmers from both sides and kind of successes there. And a panel on determining crops, production planning, and pricing. We have a full speaker list to coming soon. It is not quite finalized, but we have some really wonderful people that are starting to line up. And so that will also be coming to you shortly. I believe I'm going to pass it off to Allison.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aiden. And hello, everyone. Great to see so many faces that I've met before, but also great to meet so many folks for the first time. So really excited to be able to join this call and chat. Once again, my name is Allison. I work with our Farm to School programming here at REAP Food Group, along with Aiden and our other colleague, Paulina, at REAP. And while I know today's conversation, we want to set aside a large amount of time for questions and discussions, I want to provide some context about the school landscape, where it is right now. And just, I know a number of folks on this call work in farm to school, but I also see some faces, or, when everyone was doing introductions, some people farm to school might be new to them. So just want to take a moment to recap where farm to school is. And I always like to start with grounding. What is farm to school? I usually describe it as a movement that is a movement that can be done by students, schools, individuals, parents, community members, caregivers, anyone with a vested interest in supporting schools in local food purchasing, local food education, or school gardens. And important to note, you can be doing one of those, or you can be doing all three, and you're doing farm to school. Now, the focus of our conversation here today is largely going to, I'm making the assumption that it's largely going to focus in around that local food purchasing to schools, but know that all three of those components make up farm to school. I'm going to speak also more specifically to the current state of farm to school K through 12, because that's my area of focus. But as we were doing introductions, we know we've got some folks from the University of Wisconsin on here. And it's important to note that there's farm to university and farm to ECE, or early care and education. And all of those really are kind of that same mindset, same model of working to do local foods into the school setting, whether it be K through 12, university, or for early care and education. But to briefly cover, where is the state of farm to school funding for K through 12? Last fall, in October, we received a really exciting announcement here in the state of Wisconsin that the Local Food for Schools program, this was a program that was initially started during COVID, so right around 2021, 2022, Wisconsin received $3.4 million to support schools K through 12 in purchasing local products. So Wisconsin grown products, as well as there was a certain radius around the state that was set up. At that time, 2021, 2022, we thought that was a one-time infusion of funding. But one of the things that the state of Wisconsin did a really great job on is collecting stories, collecting data, and really being able to showcase the really great things that happened because of this infusion of funding, this $3.4 million. And I was getting ahead of myself a little bit before, but last October 2024, the state of Wisconsin received some really exciting news that we were going to receive a second infusion of Local Food for Schools funding to the tune of $9 million. We were going to receive $9 million over 3 installments of $3 million, $3 million per year. And then on top of that, they were going to expand it and give over $2 million to early care. It was child care centers. So it was rebranded the Local Food for Schools and CC Child Care Centers. So in total, Wisconsin was set to receive over $11 million to support schools and child care centers in purchasing locally. Unfortunately, we fast forward to 2025. That funding was unfortunately cut in the early part of this year. Now, one of the things that I want to let folks know on this call is farm to school and local food purchasing is not gone, but that infusion of funding that really helped to support and build a lot of connections here did go away in the early part of the year. But mentioned farm to school is not gone. And I will also add there are a lot of advocacy efforts and a lot of movement and conversations about either supporting funding coming back from the federal or asking for that federal funding to come back, or asking for the state of Wisconsin to consider doing funding here at a state level, in a similar program, Local Food for Schools program. So that's both like exciting news, and then we go, oh, kind of a bummer that we had all that funding cut. But really important to know, it doesn't mean farm to school and local food purchasing is gone. On the slide here, you're going to see under the current state of farm K through 12 funding, the third bullet point, healthy school meals for all. I don't want to dive too much into this because I want to save time for discussion, but along with advocating for specific funding for local food for a Local Food for Schools program, REAP is actively co-leading the Healthy School Meals for All Coalition. This is the movement to bring no-cost school meals to all students K through 12 throughout the state of Wisconsin. And the piece that I do want to highlight, and if you have more questions on this, I'm happy to talk about this later, but the piece I want to highlight is the funding mechanism for school meals. School meals receive their funding based on student participation. So if you have high student participation, you receive more funding in reimbursement, and that funding goes directly to support not only food purchases, but your labor and your overhead. And when you have more students participating, you can afford to buy those higher quality ingredients. You can afford to pay labor that is trained and that can process those local foods. And you can afford to purchase the equipment that's needed. On the flip side, if you have lower student participation in your school meal program, you have lower funding coming into your program, but you still have to buy your food, pay your staff, buy your equipment. And so what happens there is often we go to more convenience foods, or we can't afford those local foods going into schools. So REAP is really active in advocating for both the Local Food for Schools program and Healthy School Meals for All, because we see Healthy School Meals for All opening the door for participation, which is going to drive that reimbursement going to the school meal program, which is then going to help schools to be able to purchase those local foods for their school program. we're still jumping down to that last bullet point, and I realize I'm talking quickly. If you've been keeping up with the news, we know that there was a bill passed at the federal level in the last week, and it included a lot of cuts to the supplemental nutrition programs, or known as SNAP. And the Healthy School Meals for All Coalition is pulling together a newsletter to talk about how those SNAP cuts will be in turn impacting school nutrition programs and the ability for students to participate in those programs. So what I'll say is I won't talk too much about it right now, but if you are interested in keeping up with what's going on there, please reach out to me, and I can get you on our listserv so you can stay in the know. But I want to bump down to university, the other pieces of farm to school. I talked about K through 12, but we've also got universities and early care and education. And I'm just curious, well, Aiden, maybe we go to the next slide, or maybe we wait to kind of talk more about what's going on at farm to school.
For sure. Yeah, I'm happy to jump onto the next slide. All of you wonderful folks who are working in university settings, we'd love to hear from you kind of later once the discussion opens up, knowing that REAP does kind of primary work in that K-12 space. But Allison, I think actually this next slide is still you.
Yeah, good point. I was flip-flopping a few of the slides that we discussed yesterday, so thank you. So I just want to share a couple ways to couple resources that are out there, and once again just going to highlight these today. But if you are a farmer on the call or an aggregator looking to sell into schools, one of the resources that I want to direct you to is the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, or DPI, Farm to School Map, and specifically their local food database. And this is a database that was kept up by the Farm to School AmeriCorps. So it may be slightly out of date since that AmeriCorps program was cut earlier this year. However, there's still a lot of really great context on this website. And people, both farmers and schools, can self-list if they're interested in purchasing local food. So if you're a farmer looking to sell to schools, check out this listing. And if you happen to be a school on the call, which I don't think I heard any schools, encourage you to plug in your information onto this database. Moving down into the bullet point of programs, want to highlight if you're a farmer looking to sell to schools, or universities or early care and education, I want to highlight just some campaigns that go on throughout the year that may be really easy for you to market your products alongside. There are 3 really great campaigns that we have in the state of Wisconsin. We have the Great Apple Crunch, which happens in October. So with the Great Apple Crunch, schools, universities, early care and education, offices, anyone is encouraged to crunch into local apples through the month of October. In the summertime right now, we've got the Cucumber Crunch, which the Department of Public Instruction is encouraging folks to source local cucumbers and to be able to crunch on those at any time throughout the summer. And then come February, we've got the Wisconsin Chili Lunch, so highlighting Wisconsin chili and all the great products that can go into a great chili. I heard chili and cinnamon roll. Someone was a favorite lunch, and so definitely consider hopping into the chili lunch. And once again, this is a campaign that can be done by schools, universities, early care and education, anyone. We want people to be excited about local foods, and these are 3 campaigns that help to support that. Next bullet point, and as Aiden said, school is around the corner. I was that kid who never wanted summer to end, so I'm always like, oh gosh, I don't want to see the back to school ads already. But it is. August is going to be here before we know it. And I just want to give the shout out that, school nutrition directors are busy people, but it doesn't hurt to start contacting them in August. Now, I know on the flip side of that, farmers are really busy in August. Doesn't have to be a long email, long phone call, but this can be a really great time just to start those initial conversations. If you're someone who's looking to engage with schools, use that local food database, find those contacts, and then go ahead and just send a quick introductory email of what you're interested in, whether it be selling, or maybe you might not make that sale right away, but maybe you're interested in being a farmer in the classroom and talking about what you do, or just sharing, helping out with the school garden. And that can be a foot in the door to eventually selling your products into the school nutrition program there. I think we can go to the next slide, Aiden.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to zoom to the next slide, which is just some quick notes on engaging universities. I'll go through this quick so we can get into discussion, but just noting that universities have different purchasing parameters and funding than K-12 schools, so they can, down the line potentially do more things like forward contracting and have these different relationships that they're able to build out that aren't based on the same nutrition guidelines that K-12 school kitchens have to adhere to. So that next bullet point on more flexibility, they're able to respond to student choice. They generally have a lot more variety going on in their dining systems than a K-12 district is going to have. And then lastly, something that is kind of an interesting thing to think about when you're thinking about getting your local food into universities is that a lot of the times their local purchasing goals are fitting into broader campus-wide goals. So let's say a general campus-wide goal of emissions reduction or a general campus-wide goal of reducing food waste is also going to then loop into that local purchasing. So they might not have a wide local purchasing goal, but if they have a goal for emissions reduction, that goes hand in hand with the lower food miles that you get when you purchase locally. And also because of those goals, the ability to track their data is important. And so we often see them maybe working with aggregators who have the ability to do that data tracking on where that food is coming from. I'm going to jump in to discussion and give us the rest of the time we have to kind of hear from folks on the call. So we put together this kind of general set of questions, one geared towards farmers and one geared towards buyers. So geared towards farmers, what do you need from institutional buyers to make selling to schools worth your time and effort? I think I lost a couple of words there. And then what support systems or partnerships would you make it easier for institutions, school, university to purchase from local farms? I'm also happy to just open up the conversation to anyone who feels called to share something that is not related to either of those questions, and feel free to put stuff in the chat. Yes, Sam.
Hey, thanks so much for giving us this opportunity to have this conversation and this discussion. I'll wear my farmer hat right now, and I'm gonna go with the first question. What do farmers need? I a lot of like the examples of how to get involved in farm to school programs seem like they require a lot of like producer led engagement. And I personally, like here in Milwaukee, and we're working on this right now, just kind of initiating an MPS effort, and we're really taking a demand side approach where we're trying to figure out how many carrots are ordered each week for each school, how many heads of lettuce are ordered each week for each school, and we're only asking for the crops that we know that we can grow in this climate already, and we're just keeping it really simple: head lettuce, carrots, radishes, turnips, just the easy stuff. And I just want to know how many per week per school, and then start putting giving that information to farmers so that we can kind of make bids on what our Milwaukee Public Schools needs. And I guess you just asked what would I like as a farmer, and that's what I would like to see more of that. And I'm just curious to bring this in. We don't have to talk about it, but as far as creating demand side options, you talked about like an emissions reduction goal for universities. For us with Milwaukee Public Schools, we are really targeting like hearts and minds as far as a organizing effort to get unionized teachers, school board members, parents, and students all demanding that if it can be localized, why isn't it? And also, the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel did a great expose on child labor in our dairy industry in Wisconsin. Kids shouldn't be growing kids' foods. And it's, there's simple campaigns there, and these are all demand side. And I don't think the onus of responsibility should be placed on farmers. Thank you.
Sam, if I can jump in real quick, there's a couple resources that are coming to mind that I will get to Aiden that we can share out. One is an older, and I'll need to dig and find this a little bit, but there was a grant project specifically selling carrots into MPS. It's probably about a 10-year-old project, and there's some people on this call who might remember this project, but I will at least dig up that report, or I'll connect you with the person who ran that project. So I'll find that for you. The other contact that I wanted to mention, are you connected with Food Right at all with MPS? I know they're working on a big project right now with the innovation grant and trying to work on getting some projects in there. So it sounds like you're already connected there. So that was one that Food Right, and then I'm blanking, one of our Healthy School Meals for All Coalition members is a very great advocate working for Food Right and working in Milwaukee Public Schools. But I'll get you those resources.
If I could chime in from the University of Wisconsin, the things that I would need right now, okay, let me get a little bit of history here. Right now, I work through brokers that work through local farmers. I work with like Perfection Produce. We're starting to work with Common Market out of Chicago. There's Garden to Beat of Fitchburg. It's trying to get, because these brokers go through a bunch of different regional farms and I can get the quantity I need. This helps me, and I understand that you would like to know how much to grow and stuff like that, but being at a university, it's kind of hard to predict that, because we're talking about they have more accesses to food from other than school. At the beginning of a school year, they're going into the university to eat a lot. But by the time November comes or October comes, they're sick of the university food, and then they start branching out. They have that resources. So it gets heavy at first and then gets lower as we go through the semester. So that's why I find it better with food brokers, because they're more in tune with bringing in more food from a bunch of different regional farmers. And I love using local farming. I think it's a great resource. And it does keep your carbon footprint a little bit lower on that. What I would like to know is what is available. That's been an issue for me. It's like, okay, what can I get at this point of the season, and why, and what can I not get, and how much can I get? So it's kind of a chicken and the egg. You want to know how much I need, but I need to know how much you have. So it's kind of like trying to figure out that balance in there. Being in the university, a lot of my stuff's web-based. So, having it on a site somewhere, like Perfection Produce, I love his produce, but if it's a lot of Amish farmers, and I don't know what's going to have 1 week to the next, and I have to keep looking at that. More Common Market uses more of a regional stuff. So it's not just Wisconsin, it's Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. So there's a lot more, but they're just a new company trying to do that. So those are things I'm looking for, is just a steady stream. And I'd love to see local farmers getting into the frozen food market, because I'd love to use peas, corn, stuff like that in the wintertime, that not just root vegetables. I'd love to be able to do that. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it's just something I would like to throw out there, because if I can get green beans in January from Mazomanie, that'd be a great thing to have, but right now I'm buying it from, Central America in January, February. And it's just, that's some of the issues I have here at the university. But I do love using local farmers. Trust me, I would rather go with them 100% if I could. But it seems to be where I want to see some systems in place that I can purchase at just some systems in place, I guess.
Hey, Roman, it's Scott Williams, Garden to Be. I can't wait to tell Jamie that we were on the Zoom together later. I'm sure she says hi, but I just put in the chat my email address. Email me, and I can help you with that kind of stuff. I put lists together, and we do the kind of volume that could be used for you.
Great. I'll look forward to doing that. You know. Yeah.
Reach out whenever. I can come pretty much any day of the week, and we'll talk directly about our system. But I've got product from 50 farms year round. So
and you got to understand that this is because it is a university. A lot of it has to go through this state thing. It's all this red tape and stuff. And right now, it's the red tape is even thicker.
Yeah, the preferred vendor thing was always a challenge for me, and I've worked with a few people there over the years, but it's really sporadic. And so if you can help us get through that challenge, I mean, I've got the licenses and I've got the refrigerated trucks. I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, and that's great. It's more of it's like if I want to purchase from you, I have to go to the legislature to have them approve you. And it's just, it's gotten so micro lately than it has even 5 years ago. They're wanting to know every dollar we spend and where we're spending it. So there's a lot of obstacles, which I find very, very troubling, because there's a lot of obstacles of trying to get local stuff. I could buy it from a broadline vendor like US Foods or Cisco, but it's harder to get from a local firm because I don't understand why. I just don't understand.
Roman, I'm just taking a couple notes for myself too, because I think you bring up a great point, that because I don't think of, I focus so much on K through 12, but as I've been, chatting with state representatives, I'd love to just dig into a little bit more about what are the ways to be able to make it easier, for university, so to cut that red tape, to make it easier to get through, to get those local foods. I know I'm thinking about it through K through 12, but I'd also like to include that as a question for university level as well. How about others? Thoughts? Questions? Things we want to chat about?
I'd like to make a comment. This is John Hendrickson at the Center for Integrated Ag Systems at UW-Madison. I've been kind of touching this topic since the 1990s. I was involved in some of the very first efforts to get the UW to buy from local farms back a long, long time ago, at kind of the beginning of my career. So it's kind of fun to circle back and re-engage with you all that have done so many phenomenal things in the intervening years, whereas I've moved off in different directions. So I'm a farm viability specialist. I work with farmers so that farmers can understand their cost of production and understand if their enterprises are profitable, and work with them to try to make them profitable. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of local food efforts the success is based on volume. How many pounds of food are now in the schools or the hospitals or what have you. And I feel like another important way to evaluate is how much are the farms actually benefiting from these sales. I noticed that on the conference agenda is a topic about pricing. Smaller farms have higher cost of production, and whereas a lot of schools have not much budget to buy local food. So I'm really curious about the question of, how well is this working for all parties? And particularly because I was a farmer myself, I have that. I have the bias towards making sure it's working for the farmer. So I don't know if that is a topic that this group wants to engage with, or if it's going to be a topic at the conference, but that's why I'm here. So I just wanted to make it clear why I'm here. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, John. And I guess I can zoom over to our last slide really quickly, which just has my email on it. But we the main goal of this community practice is to be able to offer a space for people to connect and chat and share ideas and share successes and share concerns. And so we do, like, if you would like to engage with this project and the conference beyond the community practice and just these kind of like quarterly virtually chats, like, please send me an email and I'd love to connect. We have the ability to turn these communities of practice in the future into like very specific kind of like topics driven. This note taker is getting me distracted. We have the ability to turn these communities of practice into like a specific topical discussion one month and something else the next. So I'd definitely be interested in talking more about that and seeing how we can focus there. I'm gonna go back to the questions if I can get for sure.
Can I go next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry about that. I did put my question in the chat. This is AB, by the way. I know that at least in the Hmong community, there's various farmers in the Hmong community, and the thing is that now, I mean, Chinrai's on this call too. I know he's pretty active, at least in the state of Wisconsin, with Hmong farmers and growers here. I don't mean to put him on the spot, but also put him on the spot too. Is that and the other two or few members on this call that works with Hmong farmers. The fact of the matter is that now, I mean, we've been having a lot of the Hmong farmers, but then they're slowly phasing out due to age, due to retirement and whatnot, and they're slowly stepping away. But from the time when they started years ago, probably the last 20 to 30 years ago, they haven't been introduced to any of these programs, or even if they did, due to language barriers, these weren't readily made available. And we know that Hmong farmers, as if you stepped out to farmers market,
I'm on a Zoom call.
If you step out to farmers market, they don't have just a standard like 8 feet table or 6 feet table. They have basically a double space and whatnot. And kind of going back to a few of the concerns that was addressed is, how are the resources being known, or what quantity? I think what John just mentioned earlier is the measure of success is through the volume, right? And that's kind of, from my understanding, within the last, I'm a newly startup farmer guy here, and my parents, they just started up due to retirement, and it's something that they picked up. Well, I can transition them into it, but that is the thing is, in the Hmong community, how I think that's the number one thing is we measure by volume. So we don't grow just on a simple 1 acre lot. We go upwards of minimal of 2 to maybe 5 acres and even more. So my question to this is that how can we make resources like this readily available for educational purposes, and also to reach out to other communities that are within the farmers community here, those that are English is not the first language. That's the first question. The other question is, I did put in the chat, is that is there any certification needed? Does farmers need to be certified in any way? What certification is needed? What health and safety measures are needed to meet FDA regulations or to meet guidelines? Because at the end, it's the legality issue is that that's going to come back to the farmer. And so that's part of what I've been kind of picked up within the Hmong community is, we have the supply. We don't have the resource to get our supplies out there. Most of the time, I'll be honest, is that whatever doesn't sell at the end of the day, they just take it back and compost into the garden. And this could be upwards of pounds of food that is being wasted. And so then that's that. And if there's resources like this, how can we educate and how can we broaden it to other communities, to any certifications? How can we get other communities to join in the force of this as well too? I guess these are my two questions or concerns that I would like to address. And then I think the others, hopefully there's resources to kind of access in terms of how to be involved, how to get the names out there, whatnot. But I think these are the two main things that is kind of important in the Hmong community, is that we need the resource. Otherwise, we're just throwing our end of the day sale away if we're not donating it to any food shelf or whatnot. That's that. So these are the two things I would have to say.
Yeah, thank you, AB, for sharing and for touching on kind of the need for resources. That's something that we've been talking about a lot as a conference planning group is, what are the resources that we can get out? We know that a one-day conference isn't going to give everyone all the information that they need. So what are the resources that we can collect and we can share in the time leading up to, at the conference, and in the time following, that will give people kind of as many helpful tools as we can possibly give them, without being there for weeks and weeks. If there's someone on the call who wants to touch on the food safety question and might be able to do so better than I can, they're welcome to jump in. But there is not a federally mandated food safety requirement for selling to schools. Different districts might have their own requirements, but there is a need overall for food traceability and safety plans. But my understanding is that there's not a specific requirement or a specific certification that's required. Right, do we have any closing notes, questions? I'm happy to keep the discussion space open if folks want to talk. If not, it was wonderful to hear from everybody, but I'll give it 30 seconds if anyone else wants to join and have some final remarks. Yeah, Sam, jump on in.
Sorry. Yeah, I think it is curious. The director at the union, the chef. Sorry, I missed your name. But this dichotomy and kind of contradiction between understanding how much we need throughout the year and growing for that based on how much is already grown and how to get a hold of it. And I feel like if something's already grown and harvested, it's almost too late. That's kind of poor planning, especially for stuff that's so perishable. Although I definitely applaud the concept of freezing more local food that was brought up as well. And yeah, I mean, I just keep circling around and trying to see it through that perspective of how much is available this week. But I mean, we plant for every week of the year, knowing what we're going to harvest. I mean, we're CSA farmers, but this is, I guess, how I would want to contract anyway. I guess that just also going back to John's statement of getting paid. Yeah, if you're trying to sell things that are already harvested, you're already going to undercut yourself. So just it just seems counterintuitive. Our whole plan is based off of every week how much we need to harvest of what, and that's how much we plant. And there's no waste in our field because of that. And I think there's kind of just an ideological shift that we do require at some point to have the most efficient local food system. And that's I'm just going to put that out there because it's a concern that I don't know how to get to the bottom of, or maybe I just won't. That's okay.
I mean, I have to agree with you there. I mean, I do that with other broadline vendors. I tell them how many bratwursts I'm going to sell at the brat stand, every year. I think that's something, but how do you do that with one local farmer? Would he be able to, it seems sometimes, and I heard things that we farm more than just an acre or two, it might be more, but are you part of a co-op? How do there's got to be a way that we can work this out. I can tell you that I'll need, over the course of a year, I don't know, 10,000 heads of cabbage. Right. Now, I might not need that I might need 5,000 head of that in September, October, but I might not need that much the rest of the year. So that's where I am. It's like there's got to be a way that we can figure out how this can work without it becoming a big production farm thing. That's all I got.
Yeah, Sam and Roman, I think I want to make sure that we're kind of closing, as people might need to go to meetings, but I think that's a really great note to end on, is that kind of that need for that communication ahead of time. So I'm looking forward to getting in and working on that production planning and pricing panel for the conference, because it sounds like that's going to be a good place for people to connect and discuss. Like I mentioned, if you would like to connect beyond just these quarterly meetings, would love to hear from you and have a conversation. So you can email me. It's aidancn, AIDANCN @reapfoodgroup.org. You probably have my email already, because I am the organizer of this meeting that you are a part of. And I'll send out the slides as we wrap up. So yeah, if anyone really wants to stay on and chat, you're welcome to. I'll keep it open. But otherwise, thank you so much to everyone for coming. And yeah, we'll see you next time. And we'll get some conference updates out soon.